All right, welcome back. So in the first combo I showed you guys, you saw what the deck is capable of doing. There's so many variations you can take it, but for that particular video, I wanted to show you that you can go double SMSD, Hammer for 2, Dispatter, and Crystal Wing. But I was teasing the Centurion cards within Adventure Synchron and why some of the issues that ASTI has, Axel Single Source Dragon, can be solved by adding these cards, right? Because there's a very key point where the combo is very vulnerable to Nibiru, right? Because the moment you have your Adventure token, your Jet on field, and your ASTI Excel Single Source Dragon, you activate the effect, you tribute itself, and then you get Nibiru. That's like worst case scenario, right? That's why that line is a bit weak, which is why preferably you would go Herald to bypass that issue. But now that you can consider playing the Centurion cards, you don't have to do it that way, because the moment you have access to ASTI, the moment Speeder resolves, you're basically going to win. Because once you get access to your Synchrons and the 2 unaffected non-tuners that you have on the field, it's going to be really difficult for your opponent to interact with you, because if the Nib, after that's resolved, they're going to give you a level 11 token that you can use to easily climb into Crimson Dragon. So it's not really going to affect you all that much. But we need to get to that point, right? So which is why I'm going to show you guys what the Centurion's cards do, which is pretty insane. We're still going to use the same cards, Synchro Overtake, and right, like ideal scenario, right? But any form of, whether it be Witch, Wanted, Jet himself can do this combo. Same thing with this, you can have Enchantress, you can have Fool's Burial, a few ways to get to this. But the cards you need to play are going to be the Gargoyle, the Centurion Primera, the Centurion Trudea, Stand Up Centurion. You could play more copies of this, but it's not necessarily needed because it's only part of the sequence. You search it with Oxala. There are a few times where the second copy can come up because sometimes you need to send your field spell instead of sending one of your Centurion monsters from your spell and trap card zones. But if you want to be very minimalistic, the bare minimum, just one's fine. You search it off Oxala. And opening it is not even the worst thing, because no matter what, it's always going to be like a Calamity setup, which is insane. So let's get straight into it. All right, so you activate right, you summon your token, you then place your Faithful. Also, keep in mind that you have 3 cards, right? That's very important. This goes to graveyard. You then activate Synchro Overtake, summon your Jet Synchron, grave. You then trigger Faithful, adding you Draco back. You then activate Faithful, searching your Griffin. You then discard Draco back, equip it to your token. You then activate Griffin Rider, special summon. And then this is where you initiate your combo. Ideally, you would want to open up with Witch or Fenrir, because that means you can Synchro Excel Single Source Dragon and keep your Omni Negate, right? So that plays around the Nibiru, which is huge, which is why Witch is so important for the deck, because it allows you to keep this Omni, right? And that's how you dodge Nibiru. But let's say it's just this. Synchro this away, go into ASTI, activate the effect of ASTI, revive your Jet Synchron. You then activate ASTI, tribute itself, and then this is where they'll most likely Nibiru you. If they're aware of how the deck functions, they will drop the Nibiru here, and that's the worst case scenario, right? That's why this combo is vulnerable to that situation, but it doesn't matter because they said they dropped Nibiru here. This goes to grave, this goes to gone, you lose your equip, they give you a token, and you get access to your Stardust Dragon. But you still have access to Jet Synchron, which is very important. You discard a random card, doesn't matter what it is, special summon your Jet. And remember, that's like the worst case scenario that's happened. Like them Nibiruing you. That's the fear is gone now, because even if they did Nibiru you, you shouldn't worry, because typically you don't mind, because you can push past through it. But that only makes sense if you resolve Speeder. But we got Nibiru pre-Speeder, right? So this is how you salvage it. You Synchro away, gets banished, go into Oxala, Oxala effect. We'll search your Stand Up, then activate Stand Up. You discard a card, you place your Trudea. So Trudea's effect is you can summon her from the Spell and Trap card zone. You then activate her monster effect. You place herself in the Spell and Trap card zone again to place Primera, or another Centurion monster. You then place Primera, you activate Primera. On summon, she gets to search a Centurion card, which then gives you Gargoyle. You then activate Gargoyle. So Gargoyle's effect is you can send one face-up Centurion card you control to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Gargoyle for the rest of this turn if this card is sent to the graveyard. As a sneaker material, you can add this card to your hand during the main phase. If this card is a continuous trap, you can special summon this card, then you can reduce its level by 4. You can only use each effect of Centurion Gargoyle once per turn. So there are lines where you can use both effects and summon them twice, which is pretty insane. But it's only if you place them from the deck to the field. So you send Trudeo, summon it, and then this is how you get your Crimson. Synchro these two away, go Crimson. Your Crimson will then search your Rumble, activate effect, giving you Rumble. And you can chain block it as well, because you were meant to add this, because it was synchroed away. So now this is your hand, you activate this, target this, synchro summon your Blazer. So that's how you insulate your Calamity. So then now, depending on your last card in hand, you go accordingly, but after you got Nibirued, this is still Calamity Lock, which is pretty insane. Because that's how you salvage the Nibiru on the SD effect. You didn't get to Speeder, but you still were able to Calamity Lock with an Omni, which is pretty insane. Because you have Rumble for follow-up, you have Gargoyle for follow-up as well. And if Oxala stays on field, you're going to end phase place again after this end phase, which is huge. So during the end phase, you activate Oxala effect, place one of your Centurion monsters to the Spell Trap card zone, you place back Primera, because you have your other 8 here. And then, on their turn, you activate this, trigger this, synchro into Crimson Dragon, and then still in standby phase, effect target this, they try to negate it, you banish with Blazer, and then you Calamity Lock them. And then end phase, he comes back, he places whichever one you want, preferably the Tuner, because you can synchro with this as well and make Crimson again. And depending on what else your extra deck is, then you can synchro even further. But that's the cool thing about implementing the Centurion cards within the Adventure Synchron deck. Because even if you do draw them, it's not even that bad, especially if it's a field spell, preferably the field spell. When you draw the Trudea and the Primera, it can be a bit odd because if you normal summon them and use the effect, you can't use Right, which is quite problematic. But for the most part, it's there to help you for that line. Because otherwise you'll be burning your jet for the pitch anyways. But it's just something so cool to do. But what happens if they don't interrupt us at all? What if it resolves? And what if we get to do everything while using this for something else? Which is pretty insane. Alright, so we're back here. What happens if we don't get Nibirued? Well, that's pretty cool. Let's get started. Activate Right. You place your Fateful. Goes to Grave. Activate Overtake. Special Jet Synchron. You then trigger Fateful. Add Trigger back. Activate Fateful. Giving you your Griffin. Discarding your Trigger back. Activate Trigger back. Equip. Activate Griffin. Special Summon. Then synchro this away. For your SD. Activate SD. Special Jet. And since we're aware of what you can do even if they do Nibiru you, now you activate. Summon Stardust. Synchro these away. Goes to Graveyard. You go into Speeder. Activate Speeder. Summon Stardust. Revolution Synchron. Assault Synchron. And Jet Synchron. In a new chain, you will activate the effect of Stardust Synchron. Searching you Illumination. So once again, for whatever reason, if they have the Nibiru still, then you just go into Crystal Wing. Synchro summon your Crystal Wing. Now you open up your zone. Activate Illumination. Special Trail. You then synchro into your Hyper Librarian. Synchro summon. You then synchro into your Oxala. Synchro summon Oxala. So Chenling go on Chenling 2. It'll give you stand up. And you draw one off TG. And then you activate stand up. For those of you that don't know what this does, basically, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control a Centurion monster card. You can only use each of the following effects of stand up Centurion once per turn. During the main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, place one Centurion monster from your deck in your Spell Trap card zone as a face-up continuous trap. If a monsters is special summoned, you can immediately after this effect resolves, one synchro monster using monsters you control as a material, including a Centurion monster. So we're going to use stand up effect, discard the card you just drew, you place your Trudea, and then you summon her. You could increase if you want to. You place your Centurion Trudea, and then we're going to summon her. And if you want, there are some lines where you can increase and make her a level 8, so you can synchro into a 10. Maybe you want to play a different synchro. Maybe you want to play chaining there. I don't know. Then you activate the monster effect, place her, and you place your Primera. So we place her, activate her to summon, to search. You then search your Gargoyle. You activate Gargoyle. So there are times when you can view this as, oh, this gives me access to a non-tuner. Because there will be cases where that happens. And you can chain block because you play Servant. So you can chain 1 Speeder, chain 2 Jet to search, so you can play your own ass that way. It's very niche, but they're applicable. It's not only for this. It's pretty cool. So we're gonna go ahead and send Trudeo to summon, and then this is how we get into our Crimson Dragon. So once again, into gives you Rumble, and you draw a card off TG. You then activate. These big Blazer. If they didn't nib you earlier, they don't have nib, right? So at this point, you just go and synchro to your heart's content. Blazer, draw another card. You then synchro this away. Oh, hang on, forgot one thing. You're supposed to add this back. Always remember to add this back, because sometimes it can be quite crucial. Synchro this away into your Bestial Dispatter. Draw another card. And then now the Jet and the Rev are just abundant, right? There's no real purpose for them apart from then being able to help you extend, assuming you got interacted with prematurely, right? So what we can do now is we can go mill for Rev. Doesn't matter what it is. Summon Rev. You then tribute Rev for Stardust Synchron. Your trail will then trigger. You then make Omega. These get banished. You trigger Librarian, draw a card. Then you can hand rip once. Effect of Dispatter. Reborn. Hand rip again. If you really wanted to, in case for whatever reason something happens, I don't know what would happen, but like maybe, I don't know. You can return your trail to then have an extension for the following turn. But I would rather just rip it now, right? And then now finally you go into Rumble, reviving your Crystal Wing. And now you drew 4, you added Gargoyle back, or you can revive something now. And depending on what your extra deck looks like, you can make something else. Revive a tuner, right? But we just use Rumble to revive Crystal Wing. So end phase, Oxala will place your Primera back in the Spell Trap card zone. And then that's how you make your Calamity here. Your turn, they do something, summon this, go into your Crimson, summon Crimson, effect to draw a card, right? Effect of this, target this, and you have your Calamity setup. You can draw another card as well. So you drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on top of the other 3 cards you might have had, right? But that's pretty cool, the fact that you can do that. And that's insane. It's cool because some of the things you can do with this is consider them as your non-tuner level 4, because there will be times where you go and I don't have a non-tuner and this is your only way to do it. So like you can bait them into thinking that you don't have any other option, because there are times where you can go like stand-up effect, discard Enchantress, right? And then you summon this, place this, and then you can go into an Asti line. So let's say, for example, you pitched Jet instead, right? Let's say you pitched Jet instead. You can go, okay, I'll summon Primera instead, right? And I have Stardust in hand, so I can find a way to get to Illumination and then do niche things like that, which is pretty cool. But for the most part, that's the combo. It's not necessarily of what they did to increase the ceiling of the deck. It's more so the contingency they facilitate, right? It's more so making sure that the Asti line isn't as vulnerable as it was before, right? And these are hard bricks. There's some applicability for these cards. It's not necessarily where you like Mare or like the Ant. These are like, there's some application for where these guys can be utilized. And that's basically it. That's pretty cool. Depending on what your extra deck looks like, you can continue and progress. But for the most part, this is a pretty insane board. That's insane. I think that's crazy. That's going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let's subscribe if you haven't. And thanks for watching.